Olá, bom dia a todos. Eu sou a Eliane Dornelas, responsável pela área técnica da Color Mix Especialidades. Quero dar as boas-vindas a todos, a vocês, e agradecer, a presença nesta webinar da Color Mix Especialidades. A Color Mix organiza esse evento, em parceria com a ABC. É sempre muito bom estar aqui. Lembrando a vocês que essa webinar também será transmitida, pelo YouTube, depois vocês podem assisti-las no canal da ABC, a gente vai deixar as perguntas para o final, então vocês vão anotando aí, podem deixar no chat ou no Q&A, e elas serão respondidas no final dessa apresentação, certo? Acho que era esse o meu recado. Então, vou convidar os nossos palestrantes, o Dr. Carsten Dietz e o Frederic Fabisch, da Cosfatec, que estão falando com a gente aqui lá em Hamburgo, na Alemanha, trazendo um pouquinho do calor do verão para nós. Sejam bem-vindos. E lembrando a todos, olá, Carsten, lembrando a todos que na barrinha aqui embaixo tem o canal de tradução, Então, quem quiser fazer a opção de ouvir em português, é só fazer essa opção aqui no botãozinho, tá bom? Sejam bem-vindos, Frederic e Carsten, agora é com vocês.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Eliane, for the introduction. Thank you very much, ABC, for the opportunity here today. I would like to introduce myself and the company first. So my name is Frederic Fabisch. I'm the sales manager for the Americas region at Cosfatec here in Germany. And I will be here together with my colleague, Dr. Carsten Dietz. He's the sales director for Asia Pacific, but I will give you the floor, Carsten, to introduce yourself a little bit before I will continue.
Yes, thanks a lot. Also, welcome from my side, and thanks a lot that we can present our company and our products here. And before I will share my screen, or I will share my screen, and then Frederic, I guess you will explain a little bit more about our company and what we are doing before we directly jump into our topic for today.
Yes. Carsten is going to present many of the products today also because he has been working as a F&D director for many years and is also responsible for many of our blends and innovations. So to give you a quick introduction to the company, I'm not sure, I'm not seeing the presentation right now.
Okay, I will share now. Just a second.
We are Cosfatec from Germany, here based in Hamburg, Germany, and we are one of the leading suppliers for natural multifunctionals, so for alternative preservation. And the main idea is to have some products which are stable against bacteria, yeast, and molds, but to go away from the typical preservatives such as phenoxyethanol, potassium sorbate, sodium benzoate, something like that. We also offer tocopherols. We are not going to talk about tocopherols today. And we also offer xanthan gums and other actives, but we are also not going to talk about that today. Today, our focus will be on natural multifunctionals. So what is our company doing? What are our products doing? So we want to get rid of the typical traditional preservatives, which have very often a negative side effect on your skin. Our products are meant to also decrease a little bit your INCI list. They're coming from natural sources. They are tested according to higher standards, and the side effects are not necessarily negative, rather positive. So you have a humectant side effect, for example. You have anti-pigmentation side effects. Always depends on the ingredient you're using, but we will go, of course, more into depth when we are going to talk about the products. A little bit more about our company, what makes us special. So our largest department is the technical and regulatory department. So we have a lot of people working in R&D here, working in regulatory affairs, and are working every day on innovating our products or finding new innovations. Of course, we are offering also challenge tests. You can choose between European Pharmacopoeia, ISO, or also USP or PCPC. That's what we are testing either here in Germany or also in Canada according to USP. If you're going on our website, you find frame formulations. We are having here formulation managers who are only working with our products to formulate different new formulations to show how good our products are working, what you can do with them. But that is, of course, not our main topic, but still we are showing what we can do. Still, we are very familiar and I would say considerable small company. So including our office in China, we have approximately 40 employees, plus our production partners. Still individual and flexible, but I also have to pass the ball here to our distributors we are working already many years with. They also have to show an individual and flexible service, and only then it works also internationally. We are working with our distributors, customers, and also our raw material suppliers. We need to produce our raw materials already very, very long. We are putting a lot of effort in having lasting relationships, and I think that's what's making us special very, very often. And I will rush a little bit through it. So our core products are approved by Cosmos. Today, you're only going to see Cosmos approved products except one. All of our products, it doesn't matter which one you are requesting, are vegan and non-GMO. And of course, we are also offering RSPO MB standard palm oil products, such as propandiol, for example, or products where we are using glycerin. Some of our products like Zexantan and the tocopherols are also food approved. We are having two offices. Our main office is in Hamburg and one sales office is in Shanghai. Our production sites are in the Netherlands for the tocopherols and in Hanover, close to Hamburg, so 1.5 hours away, where we are producing our blends and other materials. And we are working worldwide with more than 35, with several distributors in more than 35 countries. And in Brazil, it's our partner Colormix Especialidades. In that case, I would say there was the boring part. Let's come to the fun part. And here, please, Carsten, then show us your magic.
Yes, thank you very much. And let's directly start with one important question. What is a preservative and what is an alternative preservative? When you take a look on our website or in our brochure, you can find a product category called multifunctionals. And to explain this a little bit, I will do it on the next slide. Then it's just an introduction for you that you have a better understanding. To be honest, I do not know how the regulations in Brazil are, but maybe they are similar to Europe. We will also talk a little bit about the history and the current trend of preservation. I think nowadays this is a really important topic because a lot of things changed in the last 10 years. And finally, you need to find out what kind of strategy is the best working strategy for you and for your products for now and for the future. But let's first talk about preservative. What is the definition of a preservative? So here we need to differ between what a microbiologist would say and what the cosmetic regulation in Europe would say. So from the microbiology point of view, it's very easy to have an answer to this question. Each substance that is able to avoid the growth of bacteria, yeasts, and molds is a preservative. So this would mean each antimicrobial, even substances like pure oil, which can, when they cover completely, let's say some fruits, they can avoid that bacteria, yeasts and molds are growing. In Europe, the situation based on the European cosmetic regulation is different. The European cosmetic regulations, there's that a substance that is an antimicrobial and has only one function, and this is to preserve. This is finally a preservative. Other products which have many positive functions and only one of these functions is a preservative effect are not listed as a preservative. So that's the reason why we call them the multifunctional products. Finally, when you are thinking about what kind of system fits better to your products and to your marketing strategy, I created here a table for you and to show you the pros and contras of both product categories. So first one, when we are using traditional preservatives, most of them, they are low cost materials because they are produced in a high amount and also very often used in other industries like food, for example. And a lot of them are very easy to formulate. I mean, there are some chemical substances existing which are very, very strong, not healthy, but very strong. And it's very easy to preserve your formulation by using this kind of products. If we take a look to the multifunctionals, the big benefit is that you have much less negative side effects. Whenever we are talking about listed preservatives, we can see that most of them have some negative side effects. And by using multifunctionals, you can nearly completely avoid this. So this means you have additional positive properties, which can be also a big benefit for your formulation. Of course, you have a much better marketing opportunity by using these kind of substances, and you can choose between natural, nature identical, or modified multifunctionals. What are the contrasts? So let's take a look to the preservatives. Of course, I mentioned it before, they are connected to negative side effects. For example, formaldehyde releasing substances, parabens are controversially discussed, and so on. And this can also mean that they are counterproductive for your marketing because there are many rating platforms existing nowadays in the internet, and it's very easy for each consumer to check by scanning the barcode what kind of ingredients are used for this formulation and how good or bad they are rated. So if you are choosing the wrong raw materials, it can be really counterproductive for you, for your brand, or for your marketing. And the negative or the disadvantage of multifunctionals is, of course, they are in general more expensive if you compare it to the traditional preservatives. So now I would like to start with our natural multifunctionals. So they are derived, plant derived, or they are produced by biofermentation. So they are 100% natural and from sustainable sources. They are 100% biodegradable, and all of them are Cosmos approved. Based on the European cosmetic regulation, they are not listed as a preservative. Nevertheless, they have a really very strong antimicrobial efficiency, and finally, additional positive effects. I know it's a lot of information, so we put inside of our presentation a table which shows an overview of all products. I will choose some, or I've chosen some products and will explain them in detail. This one here is just for you for an overview. And let me roughly explain the table without going into detail. So here you can always find the name of the product, for example, Costoderm LA-T. Here you can see the INCI name, so what is inside of this product. In this case here, levulinic acid, glycerine, sodium levulinate, and water. Is it Cosmos approved? Is it Natru approved? How efficient is it against bacteria, yeasts, and molds? This one here means a dark spot dot means that it is very strong. This one here means that it is moderate. And if it is a white dot, it means that the substance is weak against molds. I guess you already know from the traditional preservatives, from acids like sodium benzoate or other kind of products, potassium sorbate, that some or many products are working pH dependently. So you can see here in which pH range these products are can be used, are suitable. So this means if the final pH value of your formulation is maximum 6.0, you can use the material. If the pH value is higher than 6.0, you should choose another kind of product. And finally, you can see here the recommended concentration. So what kind of concentration should you add to your formulation to have in the end a good antimicrobial effect? The table is here going on. Here you can see some other kind or some further products. But as I mentioned before, I will explain some of these products, which are, in our opinion, very interesting for the Brazilian market more in detail. Finally, here is one of our plants. This plant is relatively new, and this explains also a little bit how our company is working and what Frederick explained in the beginning. So we are not only developing new products and new antimicrobials, we are also looking for a greener way, so to produce products which are biodegradable, to have a low carbon dioxide footprint. And this product here is one good example, because there is a similar product, a liquid product existing from one of our competitors, and they have a liquid blend, but the liquid blend contains glycerin and water. And we tried to develop this blend without using water and glycerin, to have only the actives inside of this blend. And therefore, we don't need to ship water from point A to point B in this world. And this product finally has a 4 times higher concentration of actives inside. So this also means that you only have to add a much lower concentration to your formulation. And finally, it is a win-win situation. The product here, Cosvaderm Sodium Las, is a mixture of sodium levolinate and sodium anisate. And it is an interesting product because it's used in the natural cosmetic products since more than 15 or 20 years. We never faced any problems with the material regarding irritation or anything like this. So it's a well-known combination, which is very, very good working. The concentration you should use is relatively low. It's 0.8 to 1.2%. If you add it to your water phase, it's directly water soluble. Finally, what you need to do to adjust the pH value in the end of your formulation to round about 5.5. So maximum should be pH 6.0. And the typical properties of this plant, of the ingredients, is that it is an antimicrobial, that it has a masking effect, so it covers the smell of other ingredients, and it's also used for pH regulation. What you can see here is one of our frame formulations that was preserved by using Cosvaderm Sodium Las. In general, Cosvaderm Sodium Las is excellent acting as a single ingredient or as a single plant to cover the complete antimicrobial spectrum. So it is efficient against bacteria, yeasts, and molds. But in this case here, we wanted to boost it a little bit by using Cosvaderm zinc lactate. And the reason is that it is a completely powder shampoo, which is more or less the newest trend here in Europe. to have kind of powder formulations, and the consumer at home mix it with water and has his final product. And we have here in our formulation also hydrogenated lecithin inside. And whenever you have lecithin inside, you need to add a little higher concentration of your antimicrobial, because lecithins are phospholipids and they might encapsulate some of your antimicrobials. So we choose here zinc lactate to boost it a little bit. And additionally, I need to say that zinc lactate is also an excellent active for shampoos. You can see here the challenge test results, and the challenge test results are shown in a logarithmic scale. So we are starting here with 500,000 colony forming units. And finally, we are counting on day 2, 7, 14, 28, and day 30. You can see that the bacteria and yeasts are going down to 0 directly on day 2. The reduction of molds is not that fast, but it's not needed. Important for the molds is day 14, and we started here roundabout at 100,000 CFU, and on day 14 we are roundabout 1,000. So it is still an A rating for this formulation, because a logarithmic reduction was fast enough to pass the test with an A rating. You could see before the Cosvaderm zinc lactate. Zinc lactate is a new product, new to our formulation. It's also vegan. Don't be surprised by lactate, lactic acid, because it's produced by biofermentation. Zinc lactate is highly interesting because on one hand, it is a good antimicrobial. It has some antioxidative properties. The zinc is an excellent anti-inflammatory material. It's also protecting the skin, so it can be used as an anti-aging material. And it is also has a little kind of anti-pigmentation benefit or efficiency. So it's also sometimes used to boost this kind of effect in some kind of products. So what can I say about zinc lactate, or how can I summarize all the positive benefits? So when we take a look to the lactic acid is able to inhibit enzymes. It supports the healing process, and it shows a good efficiency against acne germs. But we also need to say that the lactic acid is more or less working at a relatively low pH value. If we take a look to the oral care products, then it's an interesting material, the zinc lactate, because it is nearly odorless and has a neutral taste. It shows a very good bacteriostatic effect and is able to reduce bad breath. I will explain it in detail by showing you an in vivo study about this. And it is used typically in deodorants because it's able to inhibit odor-producing germs on our skin, and is sometimes used as a replacement for aluminium, so to reduce visible sweat. So here is the slide or the in vivo study to find out and to test how strong is zinc lactate to avoid bad breath. So if you have a mouthwash or if you have a toothpaste, what is zinc lactate able to do? And in this clinical study, they were looking for the volatile sulfur compounds. The volatile sulfur compounds are those substances, sulfuric compounds, that finally cause the bad breath. And what did they do? They had two groups. The first one was using a placebo toothpaste, and the second one was using exactly the same toothpaste, but this toothpaste had additionally 0.14% of zinc lactate inside. And Finally, they measured after 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and 120 minutes after the treatment. They measured the volatile sulfur compounds in the breath of the volunteers. And by using the normal toothpaste, it was reduced 21%. If we compare this to zinc lactate, the increase or the effect you can directly see here was more than the double. So we had a reduction of volatile sulfur compounds of around about 50%. And this gap between the normal toothpaste and the zinc lactate toothpaste becomes bigger when we take a look to the 60 minutes after treatment results. So here only 8% of, we have only an 8% reduction of the volatile sulfur compounds, and here 71, around about 71%. And 2 hours after the treatment, this one here is going down again, so only 1.2%, and here around about 38 to 39%. And this shows really very, very good the positive effect of zinc lactate in toothpastes or mouthwashes. So I would like to share with you also one of our frame formulation, which is an anti-spot gel. The final pH value is low, it's pH 4.0. And the benefit which is coming from the anti-spot gel is it has an anti-inflammatory property, it has a clarifying property, and is pore size reducing. Here we have 3 kinds of preservatives or antimicrobials inside. The first one is typically a listed preservative in the European cosmetic regulation, which is salicylic acid. So we have around about 2% of salicylic acid inside. Then we have propanediol natural. Propanediol is more or less only a booster. It has not a strong antimicrobial efficiency, but very often it's a very nice booster because it can also make the water phase more attractive for more oil-soluble antimicrobials. So the oil-soluble antimicrobials will dissolve in a higher concentration in the water phase, and therefore, because in the water phase are the germs growing, you have a bigger antimicrobial effect. We have 5% of the propanediol natural inside, and finally our zinc lactate natural in a concentration of 1.0%. If we take a look to the challenge test results, I need to say that the results are maybe a little bit too good because we don't need to reduce everything on day 2, but it's better than failing the test. So finally, it's an excellent A rating here in this case. One further extract that could be, in my opinion, highly interesting for the Brazilian market is Magnolia Extract 98. Magnolia Extract 98 is on one hand excellent for some marketing campaigns because the inky name is Magnolia officinalis bark extract. It is a beautiful, beautiful flower, as you can see here. So you can do a lot of marketing stuff with the material. But additionally, it is a very strong antimicrobial, mainly efficient against yeasts and molds, and it shows a strong effect against caries germs and periodontitis germs. It is also used as an anti-inflammatory material and as an anti-aging agent. It can be used as an antioxidant, but frankly speaking, other kind of antioxidants like vitamin E, so the tocopherols are the better choice because costs are lower and they are more efficient. So the inky name, I mentioned it before, is Magnolia officinalis bark extract. And if you use it to protect your formulation against yeasts and molds, so if you use it as a typical antimicrobial for your formulation, the recommended dosage is 0.2%. If you want to use it as an active, we recommend to use 0.05%. The big benefit is that it is working pH independently. Here you can see the two actives inside, magnolol and honokiol. And if you take a look here to the number, so Magnolia officinalis, Magnolia extract 98. So the number 98 is coming from the amount of actives inside. So we have minimum 98% of actives inside in a ratio of 1:1. So we have minimum 49% magnolol and 49% honokiol inside. And one really interesting thing about Magnolia extract is the point with what many customers do not know, that it has a very strong activity against acne germs. So I'm talking about the germs that cause the itching process of acne. I know that in cosmetics, very often salicylic acid is used for this kind of effect, or to have a kind of anti-acne treatment. We need to be careful with the claim anti-acne, because anti-acne belongs to the pharmaceutical area. So let's say salicylic acid is often used as a cosmetic ingredient to have something that acts against the acne-causing germs. But if you compare the minimum inhibitory concentration of salicylic acid with Magnolia officinalis bark extract, you can directly see that Magnolia officinalis bark extract is by far much stronger. So this one here, MIC, means what kind of concentration is needed not to stop a further growth of the bacteria. So this means if you are using around about 0.4% of salicylic acid, Propionum bacterium acnes will not any longer grow, but it's also not killed. It will not grow. If you are using a higher concentration, you can kill it. If you are using a lower concentration, then you can see here it is still growing. And if you compare this value with the value of Magnolia officinalis bark extract, you can see that you need much, much less Magnolia officinalis bark extract to stop a further growth of this acne-causing bacteria. So now we need to find out what kind of products fit better to your strategy. So what I mean is it better for you to use our blends, or is it better for you to choose our single substances? And as always in life, both strategies have advantages and disadvantages. So if you are using one of our blends, the advantage is it is very user-friendly. You get one product, you have to add it to your formulation. In most cases, it is a liquid blend, so it's very easy to add to your formulation, and you should be fine against bacteria, yeasts, and molds. This also means that you need less storage space. You can order higher volumes, so finally you also get a better pricing. But the disadvantage is that sometimes it is needed to do an individual customized fine adjustment. So which means that if you want to have an antimicrobial for 5 different formulations and you are always using one blend, sometimes it might be the better choice to have single substances, because by using single substances, you can find out for each formulation the perfect needed concentration of the material that is working against bacteria and of the material that is acting against yeasts and molds. So you can do a kind of fine tuning, and this can finally reduce costs, but it means also more work for you. If you are using the single substances, as I mentioned, a fine adjustment is possible, and sometimes this can also reduce costs because you can find out for each formulation which concentration is really needed to pass the challenge test with an A or B rating. Disadvantage is if you are using single ingredients that you need more storage space and that mistakes during the production might be higher, because if someone of the workers in the factory is doing something wrong, you might have a big problem. If you're using a plant, in general, it's easier because it's only one substance. You add it with a specific concentration and you are fine. But if you have 2 or 3 different kind of substances and you have to add it by your own, and you need to take care that you are adding first product number 1, then product number 2, and product number 3, of course, chances to have mistakes are higher compared to blends. So if you prefer to use blends, you can see here again an overview of all of our natural blends. Again, here is a big overview by using this kind of table. We have here the product name, we have the INCI, so you can see what kind of actives are inside. The products are Cosmos and NATRU approved, and you can see here, is it efficient against bacteria, yeasts, and molds? And is it working? In which pH range is it working, and what is the recommended concentration? Here you can see that the efficiency against molds is only moderate, not very strong. So in this case here, it might make sense to combine it with one further single substance if needed. It depends a little bit how challenging your formulation is to preserve. And now I would like to explain in detail some well-chosen products. The first one is Cosvaderm Capo. Cosvaderm Capo consists of caprylyl glycol and propandiol. Caprylyl glycol is a little bit more famous under the name octiol. So as you might know, the longer the alkyl chain of your diol is, the stronger is the antimicrobial effect. But the disadvantage is that if the alkyl chain is longer than 6 carbon atoms, the product has a big tendency to become kind of waxy. So we have this kind of consistency. It's a mixture between a powder and a waxy consistency. So you always have to heat it before using the material. And we thought here, we are producing, we started this year with this product, so it's brand new we launched it at the In Cosmetics Global in Paris in April. So this caprylyl glycol is a natural version, so it's a Cosmos approved version, and we mix it with propandiol. Why? Because if we mix it, you have a lot of positive benefits. So it nearly always stays liquid. If you put it in the refrigerator or store it at very low temperatures, I guess you don't have it in Brazil, but if you would do it and put it in the refrigerator, it might become kind of solid, but at room temperature, it will become liquid again by itself. So there is no heating needed. It's always liquid up to a temperature of 10 degrees. And it is water soluble. So pure octiol caprylyl glycol is not water soluble, but in combination with propandiol, we have this kind of effect that the propandiol is working as a solvent for the octiol, so you can dissolve it transparently in water up to 1.0%. And it's a very stable material, so it's stable against hydrolysis, it's temperature stable, and working pH independently. Here is one of our frame formulations where we used Capo in combination with the Magnolia officinalis bark extract for preservation or alternative preservation. So it's a natural conditioner. Final pH value is 4.0. And we have 1% of capo inside plus 0.2% of our magnolia extract inside. And if we take a look to the challenge test results, we can see it's nearly a perfect result. So good enough to have an A rating in the end, not too strong so that everything is killed on day 2, what is not needed. So finally, it's a perfect challenge test result. Bacteria directly killed on day 2, mold yeast as well. And molds got reduced fast enough and finally completely killed at the end of the challenge test. And now I would like to explain 2 products which are, from a chemical point of view, nearly identical, but not from a regulatory point of view, because Cosvaderm Dicapo is one of our top selling products we have in our portfolio since more than 15 years. So it's a mixture of the octiol, a synthetic octiol, plus dipropylene glycol, which works as a solvent, and GMCY, which is glyceryl caprylate. And here we have the same, nearly the same, but completely Cosmos approved. So a Cosmos approved octiol. We are not using dipropylene glycol as a solvent. Here we are using propandiol as a solvent and glyceryl caprylate. The 2 actives, the 2 antimicrobial actives here inside are mainly octiol and glyceryl caprylate. So finally, we did a lot of different challenge tests in different kind of formulations, always using on one hand the natural version, on the other hand the synthetic version. And we received, in all cases, very, very similar challenge test results. So this makes it relatively easy to say that it's very easy to replace the synthetic version by using the natural version, because the efficiency is absolutely the same. So here, just an example in a day cream at a pH value of 6.5. And if we take a look here to the reduction of bacteria, yeasts, and molds, you can see that it is nearly the same. And finally, you can see here one formulation that is using Dicapo Natural. It's a shampoo bar. And in this shampoo bar, we have 3 of our products inside. Cosvaderm Dicapo Natural as an alternative preservative, concentration 0.7%, so relatively low dosage. We have Tapmix inside. Tapmix is an antioxidative blend, which also has a kind of function as an bioactive material, because the tocopherol inside is coming from rapeseed. So this means that it is able to protect the lipids in your formulation against oxidation, and on the other hand, is also acting as a bioactive tocopherol because of its high alpha tocopherol content, so to protect our skin against oxidation. And we have Feel inside, which is triheptanoin, so it's a replacement for cyclomethicone D5. And finally here, one last formulation that was preserved by using Cosvaderm Dicapo, and this one is the moisturizing body yogurt. And it has a high spreadability. It's a really very nice formulation. It's not a Cosmos approved formulation, because we are using, for example, here the carbopol, so the carbopol as a thickener. So we don't need to use Cosvaderm Dicapo Natural. We are using our synthetic version. And finally, you can see that it's really good working also in emulsions. So it's also nearly a perfect challenge test result. And this was so far everything from my side. I know it's a lot of information, tons of information for your brain. So take your time, and if you wake up tomorrow and you have one further question, please do not hesitate to get in contact with our distributor. And finally, we can also answer your question by email, but maybe some of you already have some questions right now for us.
Thank you very much. Before we are coming to this, I would like to add that I will be at In Cosmetics Latam in Sao Paulo this September, together with Colormix at Colormix booth. If you would like to schedule a meeting also to receive more information about our products, because this was only a small sneak preview into our whole product range. So we are not only working with Cosmos certified products, we also have, for example, cheaper blends with traditional preservatives, but also tocopherols and xanthan gums. So samples via Colormix, please. And you can also check out our newsletter. We are having regularly some new information also about webinars from Cosfatec itself on LinkedIn. But now I would suggest we can come to our question and answering session.
Bom, meninos e meninas, né, que estão aqui nos assistindo, a gente tem algumas perguntas que chegaram para nós, dos nossos clientes e também dos canais aí do YouTube, né? Então, primeira pergunta para vocês. O Brasil tem muita gente com peles oleosas e couro cabeludo oleoso. Então, é muito comum aqui nós termos nas linhas de tratamento shampoos anti-resíduos, né? Anti esses resíduos de oleosidade de depósito. Normalmente, eles são transparentes. E a pergunta é, qual conservante, né, que a Cosfatec indica para um produto que às vezes está com pH acima de 6,5 ou nessa faixa?
Yeah. It depends a little bit if you are looking for Cosmos approved material or not. We also need to take a look what kind of oils are you using and how much oil is inside. Because, for example, Magnolia officinalis bark extract is produced by a supercritical carbon dioxide extraction. So this means that the extract itself, I guess you could see the chemical, the structure. So it makes sense the material is completely oil soluble. But if it should act as an antimicrobial, you need to push it to the water phase. So what I would like to say is that we need to decide it case by case. What is in general always working are the diols. So pentylene glycol, hexanediol, octiol. They are really good working because they are water soluble. They are working pH independently. If you are using, for example, zinc lactate has a good water solubility, and zinc lactate is working up to a pH of 7.0. And finally, also a highly interesting material I can recommend are the esters like glyceryl caprylate, because glyceryl caprylate is the mode of action. It is attacking the membrane of bacteria, yeasts, and molds. And other kind of products like zinc lactate has to pass the membrane of bacteria, yeasts, and molds to be efficient. So this finally means when you are combining both substances, you have a synergetic effect because the membrane is weakened by GMCY. It's easier for the other antimicrobial to pass it and to act as an antimicrobial and to kill bacteria, yeasts, and molds. So my choice for the Brazil formulations would be the diols in general, and also the zinc lactate, magnolia extract. We need to take a look to your oil phase. And another material that can be very interesting is the capryl hydroxamic acid, the CHA, because CHA is efficient up to a pH value of 8.0. And this is a big difference if you compare it to other organic acids like levulinic acid, sodium benzoate, anisic acid, which need a low pH value.
Obrigada. Uma segunda questão. Você, Dr. Carsten, comentou sobre a eficácia do lactato de zinco para eliminar os maus odores, né, os voláteis, para produtos de oral care. É possível também essa utilização ou essa eficácia para desodorantes?
Yes, yes, of course. You can use it in all kind of products. I recommend to combine it with potassium citrate, because the zinc lactate has, I would not say it has not a strong taste. It has a very characteristic taste, a longer lasting characteristic taste. And if you combine it with potassium citrate, it's completely eliminated and you taste nothing. So I would recommend to use it, zinc lactate plus potassium citrate in this combination, and it's suitable for all kind of formulations. Yes.
Obrigada. Qual seria a sua sugestão para a indicação de um conservante de custo baixo, aplicado em produtos enxaguáveis, né, substituindo aí os derivados da isotializona? Isso, para que produtos que vão ser enxaguados, que vão ser removidos. Ok. Qual a opção, né, de conservante para produtos enxaguáveis, né, como shampoos, para substituir os conservantes comuns do mercado derivados da isotializona, que tem baixo custo?
Okay, so low cost surfactant-based formulation like shampoo, shower gel, transparent, right? Okay, and what about the pH value?
Em torno de 6, mais ou menos, normalmente. 5,5,
Around
6.
5.5 to 6. So I would recommend 2 of our blends. You can choose. The first one is Cosvagard Pol. Pol is a mixture of potassium sorbate and the levulinic acid. It's really good working in surfactant-based formulations. You can also use Cosvagard Exact, which was not shown here in detail. Exact is a mixture of phenoxyethanol and ethylhexylglycerine. And maybe if needed, you could boost it by using a little bit of zinc lactate, but in general, it's not needed. In general, both blends are strong enough. Another low-cost option is, let me think about the other one. Yeah, Elbe would work, but would be not my first choice. And yeah, it's these 2. So I would recommend Cosvagard Exact or Cosvagard Pol as a really good and suitable low-cost solution.
Obrigada. Mais uma questão, doutor. O Brasil é um país tropical com clima e biomas diferentes da Europa. Alguns fatores, como temperatura, umidade, podem interferir na eficácia de um sistema conservante que foi testado na Europa?
No. No, I know what you mean, but we are selling our product since more than 10 years, also in Thailand, Indonesia, and they have absolutely the same challenging situation. Sometimes they don't have a cooled warehouse, so they store the material at 40, 50 degrees, and we never faced any problem. So no, don't worry.
Ok, obrigado. Mais duas questões. Qual a melhor opção para evitar fungos? Esse é um problema bastante presente aqui em produtos no Brasil.
Sure. And always the biggest challenge in challenge tests. In particular, if it should be natural and if the pH value is high, then of course Aspergillus brasiliensis, for example, is very challenging. In general, the organic acids like the anisic acid, benzoic acid are really excellent working. Potassium sorbate as well, but of course you have a pH limitation. pH should be 6.0 or lower. If the pH is higher, I recommend, for example, capryl hydroxamic acid. It's really very, very strong against fungi, against yeasts and molds. And it is, in my opinion, currently maybe the best replacement of parabens, because the water solubility and the efficiency is directly in between methyl and ethyl paraben. But as an advantage, it don't has this negative side effects, or it's not a controversially discussed material. So, and capryl hydroxamic acid is working up to a pH of 8.0, sorry. And I recommend CHA, for example, in combination with a diol. Diol, in particular, hexanediol, octiol, are also very strong against molds and working pH independently. Magnolia extract, I showed it before, is also excellent, but if you use magnolia extract, you need to combine it with another material, because magnolia extract is oil soluble, so you need to make sure that it comes closer to the water phase. And you can do this by using, on one hand, a diol to make the water phase more attractive for magnolia. On the other hand, you can use GMCY, because GMCY is a co-emulsifier and is always changing because of its structure between the interface, oil and water, and it is an excellent solvent for magnolia. So if you combine GMCY with magnolia, it pushes the magnolia extract in the interface and you have a much better efficiency. And finally, one additional hint from my side is, if your challenge tests maybe are a B rating and you want to get an A rating and you need something to boost it a little bit, my first choice would be always GMCY, because very often, if you only add a low amount of 0.1, 0.2% of GMCY, you can weaken the membrane of bacteria, yeasts, and molds and have directly better results. So this is my recommendation.
Muito obrigada. Última questão, doutor. O zinc lactate, né, o cosfaderme zinc lactate, é a melhor opção, né, de conservantes para tratar acnes e manchas, então, produtos para aplicação na face. Ele é delicado? Ele tem uma ação delicada e gentil com a pele?
Yes and no. I think the one and only best product is not existing. Each product has advantages and disadvantages. The big benefit coming from zinc lactate is that it has a anti-irritation efficiency. We also need to keep in mind what kind of formulations we are talking about. I think in Brazil, the cosmetic market is, for example, completely different to the Asian market, like Korea or Japan or China. I would like to explain by using this example that in China, for example, people, or in Asia, most people want to have a whiter skin. So they are using whitening agents. Whitening agents are harsh chemicals. And after this treatment, they are using a facial mask because the skin was treated with the whitening agents. And if you have anything inside that is slightly irritant, they will directly feel an irritation because the facial mask is lying on the skin for 20-30 minutes. I guess the situation in Brazil and the challenges in Brazil are different. If we have zinc lactate, I would say yes. In general, it's an excellent, suitable material also for face care. For anti-pigmentation, it is reducing the activity of some enzymes, but it is not a whitening agent like alpha-arbutin or other kind of material. It's only more a booster and should be considered to use it in combination. Nevertheless, the advantage of zinc lactate is also that it has an antimicrobial efficiency, and this is a big advantage compared to the typical whitening agents.
Obrigada, Dr. Carsten. Obrigada, Frederic. Obrigado, né, a todos que estão aqui nos acompanhando, dizendo para vocês que estamos com as portas abertas, né, o departamento técnico e comercial da Colormix. Se vocês quiserem pensar junto, algum projeto, né, utilizando essas opções da Cosfatec que são, né, sempre muito especiais, né, não só, a Cosfatec não tem só conservantes, como o Frederic nos, né, colocou no começo, tem emolientes, muita coisa legal. Então, estamos abertos, né, a Cosfatec agora acho que entra em recesso, férias de verão, mas a gente continua aqui no Brasil e o que vocês precisarem, estamos à disposição para atendê-los. E vou deixar os dois se despedindo aí, agradecendo mais uma vez também ao pessoal da ABC, toda a equipe, né, a estrutura que nos permite estar aqui. Obrigada.
Yeah, Frederic, please start.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if I understood correctly, but we also do not have a summer vacation here. So it's vacation time, but of course our office is year-round open. We are also very thankful for the opportunity here. So thank you, ABC. Thank you, Colormix. Especially thank you, Eliani. And thanks, Carsten, for your expertise as well. And I hope I'm going to see all of you very soon in September at INCOS Latam in Sao Paulo.
Yeah, it was really great. And I think we heard thank you 30 times in the last 2 minutes. It was a great webinar here, or opportunity here at ABC again. Thanks for translating and arranging everything. So please enjoy the day. I mean, we have the advantage that our day is nearly over. But have a good week, stay healthy, and hopefully see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.